Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today, as requested, we're back in the Dream World book again. I know it's very soon. This is the Karlon Douglas Dream World, the dark grayscale that we worked in last time. It was a request. This one's for you, Nikki. It was a request to do one of these pages in marker. So we did them in the Castle Art pencils last time, and this time we're going to use a bit of a mix of alcohol markers and some, I've got a couple of water-based markers here just in case, and some fine liners. I've tried to stick to as few sets as possible so that you might have some of these, but let's be honest, I've got the Touchnew set, and I will tell you the colours that I use in case you want to know, but you just kind of want a close approximation. You can use any set that you have. And I also have the Arteza fine liner 0.4 set. And again, you're going to want a nice bright green, a dark brown, a light brown, a black, things like that. I will pop them below for reference for mine, but it really doesn't matter which sets you have. So for the video today, usually I would lay down a marker base and then do my detailing in pencil, but we'll do everything in marker if we can. As always, you want to pop a few sheets I normally use in between this page and the next so that everything's not going to bleed through and wreck your next page. And I'm going to start with the sky. I do tend to try and start and work downwards so I'm not leaning in my work, especially when I've forgotten myself a piece of paper like I have today. The real trick with grayscale like this is to use light colours. You choose a very light colour because the grayscale will actually create the short shades and tones for you. So I've gone with, let's see now, this pale blue light 185 from the Touchnew set, but you just want a very, very pale blue and it will do the job for you. I pick a corner to start in because, of course, the real challenge with alcohol markers is once you start, you need to keep going or you will get a waterline essentially of where the alcohol's dried and your next layer goes down next to it. That's not really very pleasant for your page and not what you want. So especially when you're doing a background, it can be hard work. Obviously you can use your chisel tip for this, it's just not my preferred way to colour, but you will cover a lot more ground when you're doing a background. It's just I think you don't get quite as nice a lay down with these. I'm actually going to avoid as much of the leaves as I can, but not be too upset if I go over them a little bit. Now, in his original version of this page, these leaves are an orange, but I've already pretty much decided mine are going to be green. So you are very welcome to make them orange if you prefer to stick to the original version. It's up to you. So you just keep working your way along, one layer of that very pale blue, keeping it moving so that it's never going next to dry ink. I'm not being too upset. Try and avoid your mushrooms because they will be a paler colour. The one thing about these markers and this kind of paper, you get a lot of excess bleed with the Amazon paper, so just be careful how close you get to things. And now I'm in a slightly smaller area. I tend to change to my preferred slow way of doing this with the smaller tip. I think it's just habit, but this is why people with the big marker sets go through so much blue and green. All that grass and sky in your pages. And it really is that simple. You know, just the palest blue you can find, so that when the page is very light, the blue is very light, and when the page is very dark, the blue will be very dark. And these pictures, you know, the beauty of grayscale, it's why I like the Jade Summer grayscale so much. It does all that work for you and creates a page that's not just flat colouring, and yet you did flat colour it. Okay, one blue sky. What was that? About 5 minutes? It really is as easy as that. The brown wood, again, I've chosen a very pale brown. Let's see now. I've got cream in the Touchnew set. I think I might actually try this colour to see what they look like. And I have a yellow ochre in the Touchnew set. I think I'm going to go with the slightly darker brown, the yellow ochre. And again, I like to use the smaller tip. We're going to go over the wood of this tree, remembering not to go all the way to the edge because you have to compensate for the bleed a little bit and let it spread out into the edge of the picture. And again, you need to work quickly and keep that wet edge. So we're going to work very awkwardly all the way down and all the way up as we go. We are colouring over the darkest tones of the page. I did the same for the blue because although it is very dark, it will still add a cast of colour to that part of the page. I'm using the inside of that tree as kind of a natural edge, so I'm just stopping to it because I won't mind that it has a line to it later when I add the rest of my brown in. Is that squeaky mocha noise annoying? Sorry. I find it difficult to talk and do this. I don't know why. You think it would be so simple. But apparently not. And can you see, just by using a nice pale shade, the page is creating all those different tones of brown for you because of the grayscale underneath there. Nice and simple. Again, coming close to, but not all the way to the edge. You don't want it bleeding into that blue. I might have made a mistake there, so we will fix that later with green shadow. Right, so I'm going to take the same brown on the inside, I think. I don't think I really want to darken it up any, to be honest. So, same we go again with the inside edge of this, same colour. You can use a darker tone of brown if you want to, because it is set back inside there. And yes, I'm going over everything. And that's the brown base for that tree. I've then got a very pale green for the grass. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. This will get a bit more interesting in a minute, folks, I promise. We're just popping all the base layer to everything in first, so we know what we're working with. I've kind of learnt my lesson with the last 3 videos we did colouring in this book. I kind of filmed and released them as I went, and I don't think that really works, because then people are stuck waiting for the parts of the page they want to colour. So in future what I'll do is not release the videos until all the parts are there for you, and then hopefully, oh, that's annoying even me, you'll just have them pop out in quite quick succession for you, so you're not waiting ages to finish a page if you are using it as a guide for your colouring, that is. As I said, this one was a request, and I've got quite a few requests now. You may have noticed that I've released a video every day at the moment, just while I catch up on some of the things that have been asked for. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love that people are requesting things from me now and starting to ask me things, and I'm even quite excited that I've had enough requests to have a bit of a backlog, to be honest. But the main reason I'm telling you is just to let you know that they are on their way. I have my little list and I'm working my way through them. So if you have requested something specific for me and it hasn't popped up yet, it's in the list and it will get done. Just realised you're off camera for some of that. Brilliant. Right. So we've got blue, brown, green. Easy as that. I'm going to pop a little bit of this cream colour over the bottom of these mushrooms, so the stalks of them. Same again, easy as that. Be careful in the edges. You don't want that cream to bleed into the stones and things. And with the pale colour that I've picked, it means that it will show the different tones in the grey. And then I have a very pale grey. I've just gone for a cool grey too in the Touchnew set for my stones. I'm just going to pop one layer over those as well. I'm going to say that's a stone in the back there. If it was a mushroom, it's tough now. In the original picture, the mushrooms were more orange than red, but obviously that's up to you. I've got some melon yellow in this set, so I might do an orange one here. And here. Again, only putting one layer on. I don't want to darken the pale tones up too much. You could always glitter these a little bit later. Add a little bit of interest in there. And then I think I'll have an orange one there as well. And I'm quite tempted to make this red. That might be a mistake, but we'll do it anyway. Again, being very careful, especially with these darker, brighter colours, just to not quite work your way to the edge. Let that little bit of bleed happen on its own. I'm going to do this bit as well. Yeah, brightest mushroom you'll ever see. Oh well. I like it, that's what counts. Oh, well. The leaves become a different matter, and whatever this moss nest issue is that's going on up here. So you may or may have not noticed when I coloured the blue down here, there's actually grass in the background, just very pale tufts of grass. So I would use like a fine line or something like that. To be honest, I'd normally use a pencil, but this is a pen challenge, so I will stick to the rules of the pen challenge, and we'll use this quite dark fine liner, and you're just going to flick them up from the bottom, so your flicks get shorter, thinner towards the top. They'll look a bit more realistic that way. Doesn't matter that you go over things, because that's what grass would do. A few in there. And we have some in the picture here as well. Might just bring them down. And I think it's very difficult to tell in the darkness, but I assume that there would be some there as well. So there we have it. Now I've got a couple of different tones of brown. I'm going to take this paler brown that I've got, and I'm going to pop that over those shells, just for a different tone of brown, to be honest. Not too many layers, because it's going to darken your colour and you'll stop seeing the grayscale that's already there for you. A couple of shells, and then I've got a much darker brown. And I'm going to, I think we'll do this book here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to edge it, and then I'm going to pop its little stripes in on the spine. And I'm not going to colour it all the way in. We'll do the same for this middle one here. And flick it in. I've got a black as well, and I think I'm going to do the same for this one. I'm going to black edge it, colour this black label just to deepen that up, and then a couple of black stripes to the book itself, and it just gives it a little bit of difference. So with the very dark brown, shall we get a bit fancy? Let's get a bit fancy. With the paler brown, I'm going to pop it on the curves of the branches that we have into some of the lighter parts. And then with the darker brown, I'm going to finish those branches off. So we're just going over this dark grayscale as neat as we can. Just picking out where those little branches are as best we can. We'll save that madness for last. There we go. I think that will be enough for now, and then afterwards you can kind of go in and have a little look. So I said we'd fix this green back here. So I've got a dark green fine liner, and I'm going to go over this back section here in green, and to make it match, I'm going to do this section here and just bring it up, just so it looks like it's the shadow from the mushroom. Very clever-ish. And then I'll just feather it in a little bit with that lighter green that we've got. Just diagonal lines, just so it doesn't look like, oh, were we even in frame? So yeah, I've popped the darker here and here like a triangular shape, and then feathered a slightly paler green over the top so it doesn't have a harsh line to it. My bad. That is where we're at so far. So you're left with these leaves. Again, I reiterate, I would normally do all the pale bits in a pale green pencil and then add some dark green texture. But in pen, I would start to pick out with my paler green fine liner some of the paler leaves, just following a rough leaf shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I've also got a very, very pale green. I'm going to pop some of those in just for some a bit of a difference. It will look more realistic with some different shades in there. Although again, you could take a light green and go over everything, and the grayscale will give you different shades. I just want a bit more depth. So we're just slowly working our way across everywhere. See how many more videos I could do if I worked in pen. So much quicker. And I'm just kind of working my way along, going to the different greens and popping leaf shapes in and filling that ivy out. Essentially just creating blobs. Trying to match the tone up with the tone of my pencil. So the dark grayscale, I'm adding this dark green. The pale, I'm adding the pale, and the medium, I'm adding the medium. And then later, again, like I said, if you've got stalks and things you missed, you can add those in. I'd also be inclined some of these stalks to do it because they'll be actual like ivy shoots, and they'll be green. So I'd use a very pale green for those instead, and essentially line those in like that in your pale green rather than a brown. And add some of the darker into the shade later. You can do that up here and things as well. And in some of these, just so it wouldn't all be brown branches, some of it would be green. And you can just start to see that taking on a bit of life and a bit of depth just from very simply adding in our little blobs over the top. And it doesn't have to be, you know, when you were looking at that page at the beginning, it looked difficult. It's very off-putting to start them because you're like, oh my God, what do I do with that? Where do I start? But they really are very simple to work with. I'm going to go to my very light green again and pop some of that in. Kind of do that first as I move to the new section, and then I can start to darken it up by adding more green around it. These are possibly mushrooms back there, but they're not now. Now they're ivy. At the end of the day, if you can't tell, they become whatever you want them to be. Easy as that. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. We'll be happy with it when it's done. Now, I'm a big pencil fan. I use pencils a lot. I like pencils. So can I say that I would in future do this in marker? No. I'd probably I do base sometimes in marker, but this part I would do with my pencils. It's just preference. It's the way you prefer. It's your hobby. They're your pages. The only person that needs to like them is you and me when you share them on Instagram, because you need to tag me so I can see what you've done. I love seeing people's pages. Don't forget to tag me. I'm very nosy. we're just continuing to work this out and along in our 3 shades. And you know, you can have 12 shades, 1 shade. It's up to you how many you think you'd like for it to look the way you want it to. You could add some brown and some orange in there. It's still going to look realistic. Or, you know, you could make them blue and pink and purple, and I've run out of colours. Yellow. But that is not that far finished, 30 minutes in. What would be very pretty is either a bit of stickles in these little glimmers, or even a little bit of like a Nouveau glitter pen where the rays are casting on the page. Yeah, I think that's probably, I might add some glitter, and probably some little spots on your mushrooms. Might do a couple. Go on, let's do some spots on our mushroom. Just for a little bit less realism, using my purple vines in the last page by now probably. We don't want it to look too realistic. We'll pop a little bit of why did nobody tell me? I missed one. Shall we do it orange? My bad. Oh, I bet you've all been screaming for ages, haven't you? That'd drive you crazy, that. There we go. I've done it. It's orange. It's fine. Now, I've got a little bit of bark just here where the marker didn't bleed as far out as I thought it would. And that's a little bit tricky to fix now, because you'll get a shiny line where the browns meet. So it's actually better to use a bit of fine liner. Take not too dark a brown and bring that up. And I'm going to take it all the way up. To make it look like I meant to give it that edge. And we pretend it was on purpose. So this scruff, you just continue to follow the little lines and pop your pale green over those little patches of grass, and then not grass, the little vines. And then start to bring in, I'll be honest, it's quite difficult to see what that is, so I would just create little leaf blobs, to be honest. And then same on this side and finish them off. So I hope that was useful, and that was kind of what you meant when you requested to see this. This, bear with me, I'll make you dizzy. This is the page we did that's up on my channel. There's 3 parts to this. The other part will have finally come out by now, finishing it off. So that's in the Castle Art pencils. And then today's is in the marker. And so, of course, they're all beautiful pages. Little bit of glitter, and I'm going to be quite happy with that, I think. So if there's anything else you'd like to see, or any more of these, you know, if you just want the same thing again, it's absolutely fine. Just pop it down below. I love doing them for you. I hope it's been useful, and that you find yourself interested in creating one of these as well. Someone has asked to see the Dream World book 2 in Black Widow, and that is coming. I haven't forgotten, it is on my list. I'm quite looking forward to that actually, because that will be the first page I've coloured in that book, so it's about time I did. I've had it ages. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Thank you for watching.